What is up, bros? Me Josh here. In today's video, we are going over a new episode of Breaking It Down. Now, this is a game specifically that was brought up during a stream, and, well, I guess a topic, and I played this ship specifically, of what do you do with the radar? And this is a topic that's been kind of coming up ever since the USN split and the USN light cruiser line. There's been tons and tons of radar. People are calling it a radar meta, which it isn't really a radar meta. It's just the current new lines are radar ships. There just tends to be a lot of them. It will balance out over time, but a lot of people are having trouble playing against radar. So with this game, I picked a ship with shorter, quote-unquote shorter torps, but people are still going to do it. Benson's Rocket 9.2 kilometer torps, as well as we are going against 1, 2, well, potentially 2, 3, 4, 5, so up to 5 radars depending on what the Minotaur is running. He ends up running smoke, so we're running against 4 radars, as well as we're bottom tier, so we're gonna get outspotted. So this is a pretty typical situation, especially tier 8 being a bottom tier a lot of the times. What do you do about radar? There's so much radar. Me, Josh, what do? Radar's overpowered, blah 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 blah, and it's all about playing around it and using your knowledge with radar ships to your advantage. First of all, what are you doing? You're not rushing into caps, you're not overextending, because that's when you get caught by radar. People talk about, well, the radar lasts for way too long. Normally, if radar lasts way too long, one, your map awareness fell for a bit and you are way too overextended. Because, first of all, with this map, looking at this map, there are very typical radar areas of where a ship is normally going to go. Looking at this, C cap is basically a death zone. If you go in there, there's most likely going to be some kind of cruiser here, some kind of cruiser here, most likely in radar. Same situation on the bottom side here as well as here. Very typical. As you can see, if I look over to my right, there is a Des Moines literally in this spot. Same with the top side. Radar here, radar here, radar here, as well as a good spot for radar here and right here. So first of all, break down the maps on where radar ships normally would go. Where would you go if you're a radar ship? So one, don't overextend into those. Two, break down the map on what is in a division. That's one thing that can give you a lot of information. So one, I think we spotted the Cleveland. I think the Cleveland's like right in this area. That means the Chappie's going to be relatively close to him, which means there's 2 radars there. And 3, there's a Kagero, which means a destroyer that will outspot me. That's pretty bad. And as you can see, I prepped for that. And you always want to have an out plan going into any situation as a destroyer with you when there is this much radar. Because if you don't have an out plan, you're just going to overextend. The whole thing about this game, and this isn't like, oh, look what I can do. I do a ton of damage. I don't do that much damage at all this game. I really don't. But what I did was I played around radar and continuously looked at what was where. And I want to kind of highlight that radar isn't this monster that a lot of people think about it. And a lot of people right now are like, there's so much. There is a lot right now. There definitely is. The 2 newest lines, and I'll consider the USN heavy line, I would consider that a new line because of the split, because of the reorganization of it. There is a new ship on that line, and then the light cruise line. Those are both radar lines. So I would consider those the 2 newest lines. So yes, there is a lot of radar, but people that are thinking radar is super overpowered right now thought radar was overpowered before these 2 new lines came out. It's just like anything. When the German battleship line came out, there was 1 billion German battleships. There's going to be just a massive amount of ships for whatever the new line is. But with radar, you can play around it. Right, you can play around it, and you need to, one, start to learn the distance on the radar for ships. The Cleveland 9.9. Most of the USNs are going to be 9.9. If you get down below, you can into the lower tiers. There are some ships like the Belfast has a bit of a shorter range. The Atlanta, stuff like that. There are ships that have shorter, but most of the time, right around 10 kilometers is just a good reference point. 9.5, blah blah blah. That'll keep you in check with USN cruisers. Russian cruisers 11.7. That's just a time to know. So, and then you can go into stuff like Yu Yang, that's like 7.5, and there's a lot of other ones. But a good thing to just keep in mind is USN cruiser radar, for especially in these tiers, 9.9 is going to be your normal value, 11.7 is going to be your normal Russian value. So keeping those in mind and staying away from those. You can actually spot almost all of these ships. Now there are a couple that you can't before people yell at me. The Booster can radar you before it's spotted. Same with the Minotaur. The Minotaur can radar you before it's spotted by like a kilometer. There are ships that can do that. Majority of them can't, though. I think there's a couple. Maybe one of the 2 Russian ships I think can as well. I think the Chappie and maybe the Donskoy can. I think they're pretty close. They're 11.7. But the main thing that people run into is they just are getting overextended. As you can see here, I know the Des Moines is here, so we're looking for 4 ships going to this. We're looking for the position of 4 ships. The Des Moines, the Buffalo, the Chappie, and the Cleveland. Of course, the Chappie and the Cleveland, since they're in a division and they're clan mates, they're most likely going to be hanging together. So I'm constantly keeping an eye on where these guys are, because I got into the backfield for these guys, and I can kind of work that. I know the Des Moines over here, so I don't really need to worry about him too much getting radar, and I can just get myself vision. What are you going to do? What's a really important thing? Now, dying isn't bad, but a decent thing to do is just not die. So, one, I want to spot for my team, give them advantage, help them take down the Des Moines, which they just did, so they're down 1 of them. And I want to just basically keep these guys spotted and help what I can on ships like going against the Shima. But still, keeping track of areas where radar ships usually go and where those ships are. Again, watching that Cleveland, see if he's creeping up on me, and trying to do the best that I can while helping with these 2 big Montanas that they do. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, before everyone's like, well, you have gotten killed by radar. Yes, I have, right? It sucks. There's a lot of it out right now, but right now is a perfect time to practice going against, practice going and fighting against radar, because there just is so much of it. And again, it will balance out over time, but it's not this end-all be-all. One, you need to look at map awareness. You need to have an out plan. A lot of people you will see that think that it's this super overpowered, you know, blah blah blah, this monster, are people that are rushing into caps. They're not giving themselves an out route. They're not giving themselves a plan B just in case something pops it. They have no kind of idea of what's going on. That's who is kind of thinking that this is this nasty, nasty beast of just this endless, you know, it's just not this preparation. And if you start to do that and start to kind of break down on where these ships will be on certain maps, taking it slow, you don't need to go out and have this massive game every time in certain ships. You need to give your team as good a chance as possible. As you can see me, I pushed through. I got an idea of where they were. There happened to be none in the middle, so I could kind of work this way. And I'm on the back lines of 2 other battleships. I'm going to help kill the Shima, except apparently my aim is awful right now. We just, the battleship in my division just killed another one of them, so they're down 2 radar ships. And just going out there and basically not dying. I mean, look at what I've done. I'm continuing to watch on my mini-map where this Cleveland is behind me. And I don't want him to push too close, because if he does, then I'll be within range of these guys. And I want to help push these battleships down, get them out of it. Again, taking a peek of where that guy is. And just constantly watching this mini-map and watching where these things are. If you guys will honestly, the people who are thinking that this is this end-all be-all of just it's impossible to play destroyers, it's just not true. If anything right now, destroyers, this is really where good destroyer players are shining, because they can play around this thing that basically counters them. Radar is a counter, but it's not impossible to play around it. You just have to kind of look out and kind of break down and look at the big picture of how this thing is going to happen. This ended up just being a little bit of a farm fest right here. Our team played really well. We kept their way up in the top part, so who really cares? I always love that when 3 ships go way up to the AB line for one ship, or way out to the 9-10 line for one ship. That one ship for us is pretty nuts. And also, apparently I have the worst RNG in the world with the Benson, because I think I got like 1 fire or 2 fires in this game on like 100-some hits. It was pretty awful. But, oh yeah, this was the funny part right here. We shot at this Alabama, or whatever it was, the Alabama, Massachusetts, whatever it is down there, a ton of times. First salvo got a fire on this guy, and he already had a fire on him. So that's my luck right there, North Carolina. But yeah, trust me, guys, there is a lot of radar, and there is situations where it's going to suck, and you're going to get caught out. That's just part of it, right? This is a counter to your class. It really, really is. But it's not this extreme thing that is going to just kill the player base and makes it impossible to live. That's just not true. The thing is, we have to adapt and overcome basically the amount of it. Again, it will level out. These lines have been out for a little while, and I've already started to see it right now, is that there's less of those ships. But if you learn to play around it, and kind of prepare for it and give yourself a route out, your skill will actually shine overall as a DD player. Right now, I'm loving playing DDs because there are still so many destroyer players that overextend and get into radar range, and they aren't thinking about what's the next step. It's all about playing forward. First of all, go into a game, break down your team. How many radars are there going to be? How many potential radars are there? Looking for divisions and who is with what. Looking for ships. If I see the Chappie, that means the Cleveland's going to be close, which means the Kagero's going to be close. If you go in, that's what I do every game. I go and break down the team. How many radars do they have, especially when I'm a destroyer? How many stealthy DDs do they have, and where would they kind of be? Look at the map and look at how many spots there potentially is going to be. And doing your kind of due diligence as a destroyer, and just going in preparing for this battle. And then once you go in and don't overextend. You have the smallest health pool in World of Warships out of all the classes. So one long or one clip of a radar, you're gonna get smoked if you are way overextended. So you have to prepare. You have to kind of let your team. It's just like when you're playing CVs, and you have to let your team work down the high AA ships. You can't just strike into them; they'll just murder all your planes. It's like you can't go ham with the destroyer when there's a lot of radar ships. You have to work with your team, help them get spots, and let them work them down, and kind of, you know, it's a team game. You have to help your team take out the ships that are countering you, so you can take out the ships that are countering them, right? So go in, break it down, think ahead of going into these maps. Hotspot's a little bit of an easier one because there are pretty kind of stereotypical spots for a lot of the ships. It's a map that's been around for a long time, but there's a lot of other ones that you will kind of, where would I be if I was one of those cruisers, or if I was a stealthy destroyer, stuff like that. It seems like it's a bummer a lot of the times when you get caught out, but most of the times it's something that's kind of avoidable. You know, late game, I guess that is what it is, but still, for all the people that are kind of saying it's impossible to play DDs, you can't really do anything, there's nothing you can do, there's too much radar. Yes, there's a lot, but if the people that are really having trouble already were having trouble with radar already, and it's time to kind of adapt and kind of learn and think ahead. A good destroyer player is actually probably loving the game right now, because they are just able to kind of use and go in against them. That was a 4 radar game, and I don't think we were ever in range of a radar, and we solo capped. So anyways, guys, just want to make this quick video of breaking it down. Let me know in the comments below what maybe you're having trouble with destroyers, and let me know in the comments below kind of what you're seeing, if it's kind of working for you. Are you going in and looking over your team? Again, we didn't do that much damage. We only did 30k, but we got a cap, we got a ton of spotting, and we ended up top of the team at bottom tier. We were a bottom tier destroyer. We couldn't have torped a single one of those cruisers. You can't be like, well, you're playing a long range like a gearing or something like that can torp outside. We did a short range torp. Sometimes you can't be the hero and go do 200,000 damage, but you can play the role very effectively and be on the top of your team. But anyways, guys, this is a topic that came up in the stream. I played this DD just to kind of show off a lot of this, and I kind of hope these videos help kind of break it down and give you an idea of what we're looking for. And again, hope this video helps you out, guys. That's it for me, though. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.